Let's get one thing straight. Detachment is not about playing games. It's not about pretending you don't care when you do. It's not about ignoring texts for hours to make someone sweat. And it's definitely not about acting like love doesn't matter to you. Detachment is power. It's a shift in focus. It's the ability to hold your own, no matter what's happening around you. Too many women fall into the trap of thinking that the more they give, the more they prove their worth. If I just love him harder, if I just show him how much I care, if I just make him see how good we are together, he won't pull away. But here's the hard truth. When you operate from that place, when you cling, when you overinvest, when you make someone else the center of your world, you don't pull them closer. You push them away. Because desperation repels. Confidence attracts. Men can feel it when a woman is attached to an outcome. They can sense when you're waiting on their text, when your mood depends on their attention, when your whole emotional world is wrapped up in them. And that energy, it doesn't inspire love. It suffocates it. But a woman who is detached, she's different. She's magnetic. Not because she doesn't care, but because she isn't seeking external validation to feel whole. She moves through life with the quiet confidence of someone who knows her worth, no matter what. And that's irresistible. Now let's talk about what detachment actually looks like. It means you don't need constant reassurance to feel secure. You're not waiting by the phone, overanalyzing his words, or twisting yourself into knots trying to be enough. You already are enough. And you know that if someone can't see that, it's their loss, not yours. It means you don't chase, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you are hard to get. You're selective with your energy. You're not available for inconsistency, breadcrumbs, or half-hearted effort. And if someone wants to be in your life, they need to earn that place. It means you don't overgive. So many women pour themselves into people who haven't even shown up for them yet. They invest too much, too soon, hoping to be chosen. But when you detach, you stop giving out love like it's a bribe. You let people prove they deserve your time and attention before you hand it over. And most importantly, it means you stop attaching your happiness to someone else's actions. A man not texting back does not define your worth. A man pulling away does not mean you did something wrong. A relationship ending does not mean you failed. When you're detached, you realize that your emotions are yours to control. You don't let someone else's behavior dictate how you feel about yourself. But listen, detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become cold or emotionally unavailable. It means you love with an open hand instead of a clenched fist. It means you allow things to flow rather than trying to force them. It means you understand that what's meant for you will stay and what isn't. You're willing to let go. And here's the beautiful part. When you detach, you don't lose love. You invite better love. You attract people who respect your boundaries, who value your presence, who rise to meet your energy instead of draining it. You create space for the kind of love that doesn't require you to chase, beg, or prove. The kind of love that feels like home instead of a battlefield. So the next time you feel yourself gripping too tightly, whether it's to a relationship, an outcome, or a person who isn't meeting you halfway, pause. Breathe. And remind yourself, you don't need to control this to be okay. You don't need to force anything that's truly meant for you. Because a woman who is detached, she is powerful, she is free, and men can't resist her. Let's talk about energy, because it speaks before you do. It enters the room before you say a word. It's the thing people feel about you before they even know you. And when it comes to relationships, your energy is either pulling someone in or pushing them away, whether you realize it or not. You've probably experienced this. You've met someone who didn't even have to say much, but there was something about them, something that made them intriguing, something that made you pay attention. And on the flip side, You've probably also met someone whose energy felt off. Maybe they were too eager, too anxious, or trying too hard, and it made you feel uneasy. This is why energy is everything. You can say all the right words, wear all the right things, and play all the right rules, but if your energy is screaming insecurity, desperation, or fear, that's what people will pick up on. And when you're interacting with men, this matters even more because attraction isn't just about what's being said, it's about what's felt. Think about when you're waiting for a text back. If your energy is calm, grounded, and detached, it's easy to wait. You send the message and go about your day because you're not basing your worth on the response. But if your energy is needy, anxious, or overinvested, you feel it in your body, the tension, the waiting, the emotional roller coaster of, why hasn't he replied yet? Or, did I say something wrong? Or maybe if I double text, he'll answer. That energy doesn't just stay inside of you. It translates into your actions. It makes you react instead of receive. It makes you overcompensate, over-explain, or overgive. And that's when things start to fall apart. Because here's what most women don't realize. The second your energy shifts into needing someone to validate you, the dynamic changes. You stop being the woman he was drawn to in the first place, the one who was effortlessly herself, the one who knew she was enough. Instead, you become someone who is seeking something from him. And men feel that shift. They may not be able to put it into words, but they sense it. They sense when you're looking to them for approval, when you're waiting on their next move to decide how you feel about yourself, when your happiness is tied to their responses. And that energy, it's heavy. It's pressure, and it's the opposite of attraction. On the flip side, when a woman is centered, when she knows her worth without needing someone else to confirm it, that energy is magnetic. She's not worried about whether he texts or not because she's busy. She's not analyzing every little detail because she's secure in herself. She's not waiting, she's living. And that energy, that's what men can't resist. Because here's something you need to know. People don't fall for words. They fall for how you make them feel. And when you're radiating confidence, self-respect, and ease, it changes the way you move, the way you communicate, the way you show up in every interaction. You don't rush, you don't force. You don't need anyone to make you feel chosen because you've already chosen yourself. That's why energy matters more than words. You can't convince someone to like you. You can't make someone value you. But when you shift your energy, when you start showing up as the woman who knows she's valuable, rather than the one trying to prove it, you change everything. Because men don't respond to pressure. They respond to presence. They respond to a woman who is already enough, who is full of life, who is connected to her own joy, her own purpose, her own self. That's the kind of energy they can't ignore. So the next time you feel yourself overthinking, waiting, or needing something outside of yourself to feel okay, pause, breathe, shift. Ask yourself, what's the energy I want to bring into this moment? Because trust me, your energy speaks louder than any words ever could. And when you learn to own it, you become unstoppable. Let's be real, overanalyzing is exhausting. It drains your energy, steals your peace, and makes you question things that don't even need questioning. You get stuck in a loop, replaying conversations, dissecting text messages, and trying to predict someone else's thoughts, like your happiness depends on it. But here's the truth. It doesn't. It never did. The more you analyze, the more you suffer. You start attaching meaning to things that don't actually mean anything. A delayed text turns into, maybe he's losing interest. A short response becomes, did I say something wrong? A shift in his tone makes you spiral into, what did I do? Suddenly, you're stuck in your head trying to solve a problem that doesn't even exist. And while you're doing that, while you're stuck overthinking every little detail, you're not actually living. You're not present. You're not enjoying yourself. You're waiting. Waiting for a sign, waiting for clarity, waiting for someone else's actions to give you permission to feel okay. But what if you didn't have to do that? What if, instead of trying to figure everything out, you just let it be? Because here's the thing, the right things in life don't need to be dissected. They flow. They feel easy. They don't make you feel like you need to decode every interaction just to understand where you stand. When something is good for you, it doesn't create anxiety, it creates peace. So why waste your time obsessing over what someone else thinks when you could be out living your life? Why waste energy trying to control something that's not even in your control? The only thing you can control is you, your energy, your focus, your happiness. And when you shift your attention back to yourself, instead of analyzing someone else's behavior, everything changes. Imagine if you took all that energy you spend worrying about a text, a call, or a situation you can't control and put it into you, your passions, your goals, your joy. Imagine if, instead of waiting for someone to validate your worth, you just decided you were already worthy. Because you are. When you stop overanalyzing, you start trusting. Trusting that if something is meant for you, it will be clear. Trusting that the people who truly care about you won't leave you confused. Trusting that no matter what happens, you will be fine. And that kind of trust, that's powerful. It makes you unshakable. It allows you to live in the moment instead of trying to control the future. It lets you enjoy people instead of trying to predict their next move. It makes you magnetic because nothing is more attractive than a woman who is fully present, fully herself, and fully alive. So the next time you catch yourself spiraling, pause, take a breath, remind yourself, I don't need to have all the answers right now, and then go do something that makes you feel good, something that brings you back to you. Because life isn't meant to be analyzed, it's meant to be lived. Silence is one of the most powerful things you can master. It speaks louder than words, carries more weight than explanations, and has the ability to shift an entire dynamic without you having to lift a finger. Yet, most people don't know how to use it. Instead, they react, they argue, they over-explain, they try to prove their worth, their feelings, their point. But here's the truth. Power isn't in the reaction, it's in the restraint. Think about the last time someone upset you. Maybe they ignored your message, said something disrespectful, or made you feel like an afterthought. What was your first instinct? If you're like most people, it was probably to react, to demand an answer, to express frustration, to say something that would make them see how they hurt you. But did it help? Or did it just make you feel like you were giving away your power? Because here's the thing, reacting emotionally doesn't make people listen. It doesn't make them respect you more. If anything, it gives them control. It shows them that they can affect you, that their actions dictate your emotions. And once they know that, they can push and pull you as they please. But when you don't react, when you choose silence over chasing, when you remove your energy instead of proving your point, that is when the dynamic shifts. Silence forces people to sit with their own actions. It makes them wonder, why isn't she responding? Why isn't she fighting for my attention? It creates space for them to feel the absence of your energy, and that absence is often more powerful than anything you could ever say. When you react impulsively, you give people an easy way out. You give them a response they can dismiss, a fight they can blame on you, an emotional reaction they can use to justify their behavior. But when you're silent, they're left with only themselves, their actions, their choices. And that is what makes them reflect. This doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or ignore things that genuinely need to be addressed. It means you choose when and if something is worth your energy. It means you recognize that not everything deserves a response. That sometimes the best way to communicate your value is to say nothing at all. Because silence isn't weakness, it's not avoidance, it's control. It's the ability to sit in your power without the need to beg, convince, or prove. And the moment you master that, you become untouchable. If you want to keep a man interested, you have to understand one fundamental truth. People value what they have to earn. When something is too easy, too available, or too predictable, it loses its excitement. It becomes routine. And in relationships, routine often kills attraction faster than anything else. Now, let's be clear. This isn't about playing games or manipulating someone by deliberately ignoring them. It's about creating natural space. It's about having a life so full, so rich, and so engaging that you aren't sitting around waiting for him to call, text, or plan the next date. It's about being a woman who isn't available all the time, not because she's trying to make him chase her, but because she has things going on. Things that don't revolve around him. Men are wired to crave a little challenge, not in the sense that they want drama, but in the sense that they want to feel like they're earning your time and attention. When a woman is always available, always waiting, always accommodating, she unintentionally removes that challenge. And once a man feels like he doesn't have to put in effort, he stops putting in effort. Think about it. How do you feel when something is just handed to you without any effort? When there's no anticipation, no sense of excitement, no need to work for it? It's human nature to take for granted the things that require no effort to keep. And this applies to relationships too. Being unavailable sometimes means you don't drop everything just because he texts. It means you don't rearrange your entire schedule to fit his. It means that when he reaches out, you don't always jump to respond immediately. Not because you're trying to be distant, but because you have a life that doesn't revolve around him. And that life, that's what makes you attractive. That's what makes him want to be around you. When a woman is too available, she unknowingly sends a message. You are the most important thing in my life, and I will always prioritize you over myself. And while that might sound romantic, it actually does the opposite of what you want. It makes a man feel like he doesn't have to do anything to keep your attention. There's no excitement, no mystery, no pull that makes him want to chase. But when you are sometimes unavailable, when you are busy, engaged, and living your life on your own terms, he starts to notice. He starts to wonder what you're up to. He starts to miss you. And that is what keeps the spark alive. Now, this isn't about making a man insecure or playing hard to get to the point where he feels unwanted. It's about balance. It's about showing up when you genuinely want to, while also making sure you don't lose yourself in the process. It's about making sure that you remain the priority in your own life rather than making him your priority. Because here's the truth. Men fall in love with women who make them feel something. And when you are always there, always available, always predictable, you remove that sense of excitement. You become comfortable. And while comfort is great for long-term connection, attraction thrives on anticipation, on missing someone, on wanting to be around them. The irony is, when you stop making yourself so available, you don't lose him, you make him want you more. You create a space where he has to step up, put in effort, and choose to be around you instead of just expecting you to always be there. So instead of constantly being the one to reach out, let him wonder about you sometimes. Instead of being free every time he asks to hang out, let him see that you have other things going on. Instead of always responding instantly, take your time. Not as a strategy, but because you're genuinely busy building a life you love. When you do this, something shifts. He starts appreciating your time more. He starts valuing your presence because he sees that it's not something he can take for granted. He starts choosing you rather than just expecting you to be there. And that's what keeps him interested. Not games, not manipulation, just a woman who knows her worth, lives her life, and lets him earn his place in it. Negative feelings have a way of consuming you if you let them. They creep in quietly at first, doubt, anxiety, frustration, until suddenly they're running the show. You replay conversations in your head, analyze situations that didn't go the way you wanted, and get caught in an emotional storm that feels impossible to escape. But what if the way out isn't through more thinking, more analyzing, or more effort? What if the real cure to overcoming negative feelings is detachment? Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or pretend nothing affects you. True detachment means stepping back and refusing to let emotions control you. It's about creating enough space between you and your feelings so that you can observe them instead of being consumed by them. Think about how much energy you waste holding on to things that don't serve you, obsessing over what someone else thinks, reliving past mistakes, fearing outcomes that haven't even happened. All of this drains you. It keeps you stuck. And it gives power to things that shouldn't have control over your life. But when you detach, everything shifts. Instead of reacting impulsively, you pause. Instead of drowning in your emotions, you allow them to pass through you. Instead of attaching your happiness to external things, how someone treats you, whether things go your way, you find peace within yourself. The truth is, most of our suffering comes from attachment. Attachment to people behaving a certain way, attachment to outcomes turning out exactly as we imagined, attachment to the idea that things need to happen on our timeline. And when reality doesn't match those expectations, we feel pain. But pain isn't caused by the situation itself. It's caused by resistance to what is. And detachment is the antidote to that resistance. It allows you to accept life as it comes without letting it define your emotional state. It gives you freedom. Detachment doesn't mean disengagement. It means you show up fully, love deeply, and give your best, but you don't cling. You don't need things to go a certain way to feel okay. You don't tie your happiness to whether someone stays or leaves, whether an opportunity works out or falls through. You trust that no matter what happens, you'll be fine. And when you trust that, everything changes. You stop overreacting. You stop begging for answers. You stop gripping so tightly onto things that aren't meant for you. You move with ease because you know that what's meant for you will always find you. Detachment gives you clarity. It removes the fog of overthinking and allows you to respond instead of react. It keeps you from making decisions based on fear or desperation. It helps you recognize when something isn't aligned with you so you can let go instead of forcing it. When you practice detachment, you regain your power. You take control of your emotions instead of letting them control you. You stop chasing things that drain you and start attracting things that are meant for you. And most importantly, you realize that peace was never in the outcome. It was always within you. At the end of the day, detachment isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about being free. Free from the need to control. Free from the weight of overanalyzing. Free from the emotional roller coaster that comes with attachment to things outside of your control. It's about reclaiming your energy, your peace, and your power. When you learn to detach, you stop letting external circumstances dictate your emotional state. You stop giving people, situations, or outcomes the ability to define your happiness. Instead, you move through life with confidence, knowing that whatever happens, you will be okay. And that kind of energy, that's unstoppable. That's what makes you magnetic. That's what allows you to truly live instead of just reacting to life. So, take a deep breath, release the need to grip so tightly, and remind yourself, you are whole on your own. You don't need validation, approval, or certainty to be at peace. Everything that's meant for you will come with ease, and everything that leaves was never truly aligned. The moment you let go of attachment is the moment you step into your true power. And from that place, you can create a life that feels light, effortless, and free.